Okay, let's see where this one goes. So, hello, hi, welcome. It's been a couple of weeks. So, I just did a story on my Instagram, and it's in response to, and that's what I'm going to talk about here today, masculine and feminism, this kind of like gender narrative that we're seeing in the media, and particularly in Australia, but I'm sure it's everywhere in the world. There's this new kind of I'm going to say flame being fanned by the media to do with violence against women by men. And I'm not denying statistics. I also am not confident in statistics. I'm also not confident in the stories. But that being said, let's just accept them as they are. They're saying, there's an increase in violence. There's been a lot of news stories in the common mainstream news narrative about stabbings. All I'm hearing is like day to day stabbings. This person's been stabbed, and they will just talk about it for fucking ages. This woman's been stabbed. This man's been on a rampage stabbing women specifically. Okay, these are the stories. There are really big fucking things happening in this world right now, in this globe, in this construct. There is a lot going on. But to boil down and to decide that there's a story that is going to be told, which when you look at that picture of that story, it's invoking fear. Like a lack of control and a lack of safety. And what is the motivation or the agenda here when we're creating a lot of personal fear and fear for personal safety? Well, there's the next logical step is we want more security, we want more surveillance, we want more services that are going to be keeping us safe and keeping an eye on us. But these are the same services that, many people are complaining aren't actually there to help you. It depends what side of the story that you're on. If you're on the common government narrative, then, I don't know. You're still not protected. You're only, it's like faux protection. It's perceived protection. If you're doing what you're told and you're staying in your homes and you're not causing a fuss and you're just agreeing with what is being spoon-fed to you, then the perceived safety is just because, you're literally out of the way. But if you disagree with that and you don't believe everything that is spoon-fed for you, if you have a free mind, if you're working on, unlocking your own brain and coming into alignment with your own sense of being and your own authority, and that you have an unlocked sensitivity and an unlocked awareness of what is being and feeling about what is right, and feeling and experiencing the way the world is, well, that might be in conflict with that common narrative. And therefore, you really do not have any safety in this world, based on what is, the current systems of governance. So, using narratives and getting it into spike personal fear is going to have the community saying, hey, no, we want surveillance. Hey, no, we want security. And bringing in that infrastructure, which further oppresses the free thinkers, or the people that are wanting to, claim back sensitivity and awareness for relationship with earth and self and other. It's a more honorable and integral integrity. I'm trying to say that there's more integrity in that style of life. So with that being said, talking about masculine and feminine as well, so let's just go back to that. Take the statistics for what they are, and it goes back to that internal external relationship. So if we're looking outside of ourselves and constantly pointing the finger of blame and constantly looking at and saying, that person's bad, they're causing violence, I'm a good person, I don't do anything wrong, right? Constantly externalizing it, thereby that shadow aspect within us is getting pushed out to present itself to us in a more confronting way externally, because we've denied it out of ourselves. Well, that energy has to go somewhere, and it meets us outside of ourselves in the face, and it says, hey, yo girl or boy or whoever, yo, wake up. we're presenting this to you. You need to adopt that back into yourself. If we go in and do the internal work and we acknowledge, go into the shadow aspects of our own selves, and we kind of find and we pinpoint those particular aspects, our particular shadows, acknowledging them not as anything that is wrong, but that it is a natural part of a complete whole human. We have, it's yin and yang, it's the dark and the light, and human design and the gene keys supports us to understand what the importance of that shadow is, because the shadows are necessary in order to understand the gift and to understand the city. They are necessary for us to have in awareness, and for us to love and be thankful for and have the gratitude for those shadows. So in knowing ourselves very deeply, we can come to a place where we honor and acknowledge all of the shadow aspects, which gives us more clarity into the human like into all humans and into human behavior and how we, interact with one another. Once we find that deep sense of compassion and love and care for and honoring and respect of our own wholeness, all of the depths and the darks and the putridness and the foulness, and the acknowledging the capabilities that we have for pain and murder and death and heartache and selfishness and all of these things that are less desirable human traits. But we need to own those, because in owning them, we're going to start to absorb them from the field, and things aren't going to be pushed out and externalized into this real, into the brutality that we see sort of being faced with, which translates to war and famine and oppression and control and death. And we will also have compassion and kindness and forgiveness, and thus healing for those external bodies committing crimes, which we don't want. We don't want to feel unsafe. And so in doing that, we're kind of able to put those feelings and that energy, that pain, and I'm trying to avoid using dark aspects, but we can call them shadows. We want to be able to direct those currents into specific places and in specific ways. They can be used effectively and with impact, without letting them just be untamed. Because when they are untamed, they're coming up in all, it's the multi-headed dragon type thing, they're going to keep coming at us from all of these different angles when we are not watching, when we're not expecting it. And so that what we're reflecting as from our internal state is being shown to us externally. So the denial of our own shadows, we can see more in the external world, in death and war. So it's even more important than ever not to keep pointing the blame externally for the external things going on. We need to come back into center and acknowledge and honor and love and have compassion for all of our aspects as a whole human. And when we do that, we then gain and then we grow to the ability to have compassion and love and kindness, and thus healing for the external. In doing that, then we neutralize that, the heaviness and the heavy power of the external face, where we're seeing, terrible wars and global control. And there are other factors, astrological factors impacting us. People will talk about the 2027 shift that's coming up astrologically, in human design. We're moving from the cross of planning into the cross of the sleeping phoenix, and it has a very different vibe. So we've been in this era of industry and planning, and we've been in this industry of service and support by the government to the people, but all of that is breaking down. So we're really in this decade-long throw of the government trying to maintain control while also disintegrating and losing power. And as that's happening, there's a lot of rupture, and people have to learn how to stand on their own 2 feet. And we need to learn sovereignty, inner authority. We need to conjure and welcome and love and invite material and financial and sustaining materials to the self and independently of government or external industry, because it will be placed back in our hands to take care of ourselves independently. And so that is why, you know, forgiveness and self-healing is so important, because we need to neutralize these external powers that could be extremely threatening when we no longer have an army taking care of us. And, you know, that's irrespective of the fact of whether we ever should have had armies or not. It doesn't really matter. As humans, that's how we organized. We decided to have armies. I can't even get into right now. It'll be another story about the, you know, the levels of corruption, the levels of control, the levels of coercion, through all the things. But, you know, at a superficial level, we still can look at humanity as having evolved and having things like armies. And then maybe there still be armies, but they're maybe the more localized, more independent factions of people working together, but it's probably going to be a lot more independence. And so it's just growing that awareness of how to take back our power, how to take back our authority, and not lean on or rest on or look externally for the supports that we've had in the past. All of that is linked to masculine and feminine and those relationships, because when we are acting like sort of in harmony as independent individuals, regardless of sex or gender or any of that, you know, we have a mechanical structure which fits together. When we're operating in alignment with self, you know, then we're attracting the people and the circumstances around us that, you know, fit well, or provide us with the lessons and the friction that, you know, we need. So we come into more community or unified alignment when we're being ourselves. Part of that aspect is the masculine and feminine, and those external relationships of masculinity and femininity. Again, that's not prescriptive or to say that it's a gendered thing. It's masculine and feminine, and that masculine and feminine is the difference between responsibility and action and yielding and receiving. Responsibility and action, you know, taking care of yourself, being driven, is the masculine. Receiving, yielding, succumbing is kind of the feminine. And those two things need to engage and align within any individual, regardless of gender. When that is in harmony, then we again see that externally, and we can have these outer unions where we can fall into, and it still happens between I'm talking in genders, but you know, this is gray and it's a nuance, and these are just the polarities. There is every shade in between, so it's not black and white. But between those two polarities, that dance that exists externally also fluctuates and has the feminine and masculine yielding, receiving, and responsibility and action within it. So in a perfect world, of course, this is what we ascribe to, this is what subscribe, inspire to be. This is what this is what I hope for us to create. This is not something that I can let go of as a desire, and to hold space and create spaces that facilitate this coming home, this remembering who we are, where we're going, like back to the stars, to be infinite creators. We are infinite creators here on this realm, in this space-time, being, working with, playing the game of the limited field. And it can be fun, and it can be light, it can be enjoyable. It's not without grief, it's not without pain, but it's learning to love the pain. That is the human experience. Understanding that it's about perception, and that brings us into awareness of how powerful the mind is. This isn't like a calibration field, because imagine being, you know, completely limitless without any limitations. and creating worlds, and then, you know, creating worlds that we need to harness and recognize these skills, and be refined and more nuanced in those skills and operate in a, you know, higher alignment. I heard this thing, and we don't like talking in terms of higher, it's coordination. I'm going to talk about coordinated alignment. I hope that this has had a positive impact on you. If you'd like to be in touch with me, getting a human design reading, having an analysis. I love to work with people intensely on a 3-month mission. And you'll get a full written report and lots of support from me to look at your own energetic blueprint and get in touch with who you are, what your filter of consciousness is, where you're open to influence, and we'll look at clearing some of that up. And I've got a number of other packages. There's a free meditation I'd love you to try. I have a conscious creative flow course, and I'm about to put up a 6-part series on the life in flow, which is human design foundations and creative flow. There's going to be so much more stuff. I'm really excited. I'm about to go into my interior design class right now and enjoy playing with color. I've really enjoyed reading these books that I borrowed from the library, Color Studies. I really enjoyed this one, which is called Ugly, the Aesthetics of Everything. Yeah, I'm just gonna go play, because that makes me juicy and excited, and I have a good life playing in the creative realm. So blessed be. And Adonai, and see you next time.